breaking news right now. We are getting reports that the U.S. is reportedly going to ban imports of all Russian oil today, something we've been talking about throughout the show this morning and for the last several days here on Newsmax. According to one report, the United States has already spent over $1 billion over the last 13 days, basically the 13 days of the war in Ukraine, on Russian oil. So you could make the argument that we are complicit in funding Vladimir Putin's war with Ukraine. Well, apparently that is going to stop, hopefully as early as today. Let's welcome in our next guest, Texas Congressman, also a veteran, Pat Fallon, is back with us. I'm also joined by my co-host, Allison Maloney. Congressman, great to have you on. Just want to get your reaction to that breaking news and what you might know about this, because Congress, of course, would be involved with something like this. Good morning.
Rob, good morning. Thank you for having me on. And you know what? Amen. Finally, we see some action. We've been calling for this since the start of the conflict. Started the invasion, started the illegal Russian invasion of the Ukraine. Why are we funding evil? So finally, Joe Biden has done something right. He dragged his feet, but we are where we need to be.
Yeah, Congressman, like we just mentioned those reports. Do you think this is really going to happen? And if it does this mean that now we're going to rely on Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Iran for our oil?
Yeah, we should be relying on ourselves. Under President Trump, we're energy independent, Allison, and we need to immediately stop vilifying the energy sector, the American energy sector. And why, Biden says buy American, except if it's the energy. Right. Why should we buy energy from people that don't like us? We should end the demand to end the freeze on issuing new permits for exploration on federal lands and offshore. And we need to fast track pending liquefied natural gas export permits. And we do those things and, stop all this regulatory nonsense that makes it very hard to finance the energy sector.
All this comes, Congressman, the stock market's in the tank right now. We've entered correction territory. The Dow down almost 800 points yesterday. The NASDAQ, S&P down 4% and 3% respectively. Oil's at $130 a barrel. Gas, $4.17 a gallon. That's the national average. That's the highest it's ever been in U.S. history. The most we've ever had to pay for gas is right now in 15 months of Joe Biden. Is the Keystone thing, what would need to happen for us to get Keystone up and running again? If Joe Biden were to give the American people and American businesses the green light to do so, what would that look like?
Yeah, if he took the cuffs off, we wouldn't see anything. Let's be honest, Rob, we wouldn't see anything in the immediate, in the near term. Right. But it would start to relax. The markets also, they tend to look forward and see what's going to happen 6 months from now and a year from now. That would be a great first step. But it has to happen immediately. Right. He should have never. I just wish he went and watched Netflix instead of messing with anything. Any part of President Trump's energy policy, we'd be a lot better off. And by the way, 2 years ago, the last March that President Trump was in office, gas was at $2.33. It's jumped 79% since then.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one crisis after the next, right, Congressman? And speaking, I want to pivot now to the border. We started off the new year with 153,941 migrant encounters. We're waiting for those February numbers. What do you think we're going to see?
More of the same. I mean, we've seen, Allison, 11 months in a row, first time in our history where there have been at least 150,000 illegal border crossings. The first time in our history we had a calendar year where there were 2 million illegal border crossings. Fentanyl seizures in the last fiscal year were over 11,000 pounds of fentanyl. It's enough to kill every American 7 times over, and almost 200,000 pounds of methamphetamine. So what we've seen is the drug cartels are controlling our southern border and not the federal government. And if you're not safe, then you're not free. And right now, the American people aren't safe. The leading cause of death between 18 and 45-year-olds in this country is fentanyl overdoses.
Congressman, for the last 13 days, as we cover this war in Ukraine, we've been talking about this humanitarian refugee crisis in Poland and other NATO countries that border Ukraine as Ukrainians are forced to flee their homeland. Would you say what's happening on our southern border with, again, in 2021 alone, over 2 million illegal crossings, is that a humanitarian refugee crisis, but just one that no one wants to talk about?
Rob, great point. I mean, when you have a young woman that migrates from southern Mexico or Central America, the estimates are that 30% of them are sexually assaulted or raped along the journey. How is that not a humanitarian crisis? adding 2 million people to this country. That's like more than the entire state of West Virginia, and we are already a debtor nation. And we have almost 4 million people across the world trying to come to this country legally, waiting in their home countries, respecting the laws and the rules of the country that they want to become a part of. And we're letting mass unlawful migration occur. It's unfair. It's patently unfair, and it's un-American. So, yeah, it's absolutely a humanitarian crisis. And, if we secured our border, it would be better for the people south of the border and north of it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, Congressman Pat Fallon, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Good seeing you, sir.